Ever wondered what lies beneath the streets of Paris, beyond the glitz of the Eiffel Tower? Well, buckle up for a spine-chilling adventure as I take you on a journey through the Paris Catacombs, a place where history meets a prolific burial site, all housed in its macabre collections under the City of Light. This adventurous solo female may have met her biggest fear yet with this dark tourism adventure. Curious, what could be more frightening than walking among the remains of 6 million dead? Let's find out. I find myself standing in front of the unassuming entrance to the catacombs in the 14th district of Paris, just a few subway stops from the Notre Dame Cathedral. A line of other adventure enthusiasts and myself eye a digital counter on the wall. If the count drops below 200, another Catacombs of Paris guest may enter under the observation of a nearby security guard. Once through the gate, a narrow white spiral staircase awaits you with 131 steps total to go down into the tunnels below. At first, this unassuming staircase is just that, but as the spiraling toward the depths of Paris continues, you begin to realize just how much of the city lies above you. Also, an odd foreboding can be felt. What could be lurking in the shadows beyond the entrance to the catacombs and is growing nearer with every step you take? At the bottom of the stairway, guests are greeted with a simple display outlining how the catacombs came to be. Before the catacombs became the final resting place for the skeletal remains of over 6 million corpses, it was a network of underground quarries. The underground limestone mines were used during the Roman Empire. Later, these same quarries provided the stone for many of the city's famous landmarks, including the Notre Dame Cathedral and the Louvre. At one point, several collapses occurred. The harvesting of the underground materials threatened the structural integrity of the streets and buildings above ground. King Louis XVI signed a decree halting the harvesting from the mines. Later, a structural engineer would rearrange the tunnels to ensure the threat of cave-ins was negated. All of this, of course, did not ease my mind while going 20 meters below the streets of Paris. And from time to time in the beginning of my journey, I had to talk myself through a nice case of claustrophobia. Once I entered the catacomb tunnels and large mass of bones housed there, the magnitude of what unfolded here in the past took hold of me. 6 million people's remains took up the entirety of my attention, and my claustrophobia was soon forgotten. How did these human remains find their way to these tunnels? The catacombs were transformed into a burial site in the late 18th century to alleviate overcrowding in Parisian cemeteries. The buried were removed from many Parisian burial sites, starting with its largest cemetery, the Saints Innocents Cemetery. The reactions of locals were feared by Parisian officials, so the remains were ferried to their new final resting place under the cloak of darkness to avoid public outcry. Upon arriving at the quarry, bones were dumped unceremoniously into one of 2 quarry wells 5 stories down, where workers below began the monumental task of organizing the final storage of 6 million people's bones. Interesting enough, it was the French Revolution, not the public outcry, that caused the only disruption of transporting the remains to the catacombs from cemeteries such as Saint Nicolas des Champs and Bernardin's Convent. With each step, I descended deeper into the bowels of the earth, leaving behind the hustle and bustle of the city above. As I navigate the winding tunnels, the air grows cooler and will stay at about 14 degrees Celsius throughout the year. I travel through one last section of rooms with history of the catacombs is presented neatly on the walls. Then the entrance to the portion of the catacombs where the bones are resting comes into view. The tunnel entrance has an engraving at the top with the words, "C'est ici l'Empire de la Mort," which translates to "Stop, here lies the Empire of Death." And rightly so. As I navigated the tunnels and passed through eerie chambers, I couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and reverence for the history that surrounded me. The bones and skulls were not initially arranged in eerie patterns and designs observed in the tunnels, but piled up after being thrown down 2 well shafts. Many bones could be observed with chips and fractures, a condition incurred by having fallen through the well shafts during their transport to this final resting place. With every step, the ramifications of the remains stored in the humid conditions of the catacombs could be observed by the green moss starting to cloak the bones and skulls. Even in this place, a monument to those that have come before us in this city, it is a haunting reminder of our mortality as well. Not even these bones will last. But amidst the darkness and decay, there's a strange beauty to be found in the intricate designs crafted from human remains. As I navigated the narrow tunnels and passed through eerie chambers with markers indicating certain areas of the catacombs, or to relay the original sight of the remains displayed, I couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and reverence for the history that surrounded me, and how carefully, ultimately, those that created the catacombs went about this monumental task of creating such a vast network of tunnels lined with those that came before us. Exploring every corner of the ossuary, I marveled at the intricate patterns, a form of dark art made from carefully arranged bones in such intricate designs. A macabre masterpiece hidden beneath the bustling city above. I was in awe of how not one person's remains were separated from the whole. Death has always been the great equalizer, and this ossuary gave no preference on the bones' history partaken while alive. Be warned from getting lost in the Paris Catacombs. In the past, they have been known to simply absorb others' deaths in the tunnels of the catacombs. One such person, Philibert Aspert, a doorkeeper, was lost in the catacombs and found 11 years later. His remains were absorbed into the catacombs along with French revolutionists, famous writers and painters, as well as French officials. Other occupants in the world's largest necropolis in the world and most visited is the 1,343 people guillotined under the Terror at the Place de la Concorde. After an hour of passages, I found myself near one of the more unique displays crafted. One of my last images of the catacombs, it was a round-barreled design of bones and skulls. Just before exiting the catacombs, I was able to walk under one of the two wells used to drop the bones down into the depths of the catacombs. And then it was another spiraling staircase up 112 steps to the domain of the living above, and a cute but surreal souvenir shop. The dichotomy of shopping for a gift felt at odds with the sanctity experienced from the monument of death below me now. With my souvenir gifts in hand, I emerge back into the light of day. I can't help but feel a sense of relief mingled with sadness. The journey through the catacombs was both exhilarating and sobering, a reminder of the fragility of life and the impermanence of all things. But amidst the darkness and decay, there's also a strange beauty to be found in the Empire of the Dead, the Paris Catacombs. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more thrilling adventures.